Hey everybody, welcome back to the 172nd episode of Taps and Patience. I'm AJ with Subtract Manufacturing and Audacity Micro, here with Harrison of Precision Ingenuity and Magic Trick, Ben. Look, we have Ben from Black Box Machining now.
How's everyone doing?
I'm great. A little bit of background for our viewers or listeners. I got called on this podcast like just a few hours ago.
Like 15 minutes ago.
I got the kids down for bed and my wife's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to go record a podcast. So no, I'm stoked. Thanks for having me on. I feel like this was the same approach where Jamie's like, oh no, we need a filler. Let's get Ben in for Lone Machinist. So I'm ready for it.
You were just on there. I didn't even think about that. Maybe they inceptioned the idea into my brain, but I did listen to that episode too.
Oh, right on. Nice.
So
I should go back and listen to it.
I should go listen to it. I have been trying to listen to them some more, and I need to go listen to the one with you on it.
The Lone Machinists podcast is one of the ones that I look forward to most now. So
nice.
I tried to give them their domain names back, and I don't think Jamie's transferred them yet. I sent him the codes so he can have the properly spelled nautical work holding domain back. But
nice.
Oh, yeah, that would be super helpful because, I've known it since JSpec and all that, and Jamie's given me a bunch of anchor point stuff, which is awesome. But like, I went to look for it the other day, and I was like, does this not exist? And then I realized it's terribly misspelled.
Did you hear the whole thing about where I bought nautical work holding spelled correctly?
No, I missed that.
I bought nautical work holding spelled correctly and then nautical work holding spelled incorrectly, but more logically, and forwarded them to the YouTube channel and our Patreon.
I love it. That's great.
And then later, AJ missed the chance to buy back the Taps and Patience, and so website, and so James bought that, and so he's got a Taps and Patience website that leads to him. Which is funny because I use that to find his website, and it's so much easier.
It's like domain wars over here. That's great. I love it.
That was really funny because I did not realize I no longer own Taps and Patience. I thought I still had that one. I think what happened there is the original Taps and Patience website was a Wikimedia website, and it was with this very specific like Wikimedia hosting company. And so I think I bought the domain through them. And then that company kind of just disappeared. They fell off the face of the earth. Like one day our website just stopped working and they stopped billing me. So I assume they just went out of business. And I think I bought the domain through them, and then it probably expired without it being renewed. And then Jamie bought it.
Nice. That's great.
So, if Jamie would take his website back, I can take the Taps and Patience website back from him. Then we can like vibe code something to throw up there.
There you go. What we need to do is, in honor of all this that happened, we need to have like a little corner banner on both websites that transfers between the two.
Yeah, I would be great with that. Is like Within Tolerance podcast for sale? Within Tolerance.fm.
Bring Dylan into this.
Yeah.
So you need to check that before this episode goes live, so you can catch it before he listens to it.
So you know how there's been kind of this explosion in vibe coding and stuff? Do you know who the real winners of this are? It's the people selling domain names. Do you know how many domains I've bought in the last like 2 weeks?
Mm-mm.
Well, 2. Thank you. But yeah, they're I think the true winners of, they're selling the pickaxes.
Fair enough.
Anyway, speaking of pickaxes and selling the pickaxes, so Ben, what are you doing now?
Yeah, it's a great question. Man, I'm trying to think if I should give a little bit of background on me for people that don't know. Oh,
did we not already do that?
No, we hadn't.
No, we're just chatting about domain stuff, but just a quick little bit background on me. I'm a mechanical engineer, turned into manufacturer engineer / machinist / DIY. Like, I don't really know where I fit. And now I'm working for a software company for inventory management called Arda, and I'm loving it. and I'm not even doing engineering anymore. My mom's like, what are you doing now? Like, she's just like, can't keep track of anything. But so my former job, I used to work, I was technical operations manager at Toolpath, which was a really fun gig. And I got to play on CNC machines and tell the dev team when things didn't work and machine parts. And then I kind of morphed into a content role where it was the exact same job, but I was just holding a camera, which was weird because it's just like I'm not used to being in front of the camera. And then I kind of transitioned into customer success and then a sales role. And I found that sales isn't icky. So, like, I've always had this idea where sales guys are like, oh, you're a sales guy. But I just loved like showing people what we were doing, how it worked, being super technical, and just hopping in a call. And I did that with UAJ and I think even Harrison. I probably hopped in a call with you, and it just was really fun. So my new gig, I am the founding account executive of Arda. So up until this point, all of the co-founders, Uriel and Kyle, have been selling the software and building relationships, but they also have an entire business and company to run. And so now it's my responsibility to make sure we bring in revenue for the team. So it's fun. I'm really enjoying it. And there's a technical aspect where it's like, okay, I can kind of use my engineering background in some ways, but really it's all about relationship building, and that's what I love. So yeah. And then before that, I worked at a custom water jet company, and then Woodpeckers, which is a funny name, but they make really high-end woodworking hand tools. And my claim to fame there, I was only there for about a year until Toolpath snatched me up. But I created like a bisecting angle jig, and the president came up with Engle. And then I was like, oh, like my last name, because my last name is Engle. And he's like, I didn't even know that was your last name, but cool, we're going to do that. So when I left the company, I had to sign away my last name. And if you guys go on Woodpeckers, it's the Engle. So it's my claim to fame.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'm just hanging out in my shop on the side when I have free time, which isn't a ton. I try to machine some knives and parts, and just kind of always be learning and making chips. So fun.
Is the knife thing a pretty good side hustle?
Oh man, if I focused on it, it would be awesome. Okay, so I got laid off of Toolpath, unfortunately, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise. I mean, man, I love that team, but I got to see like, man, there's so many other really cool opportunities out there. And for like a week, I told my wife, I was like, I'm just going to go crazy into knife production. And it was super fun, also really challenging, but I was able to make as many knives as I've ever made before, get a dropout, make some fixtures, and really kind of focus on it. So the people that reach out to me, they're always like, hey, when are you going to be doing a drop or whatever? I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know. I've got a full-time job and 3 kids and a wife and stuff. So it could be really, I wouldn't say lucrative, but helpful in income. Mm-hmm. But I also like don't know if I want to make it a full-time thing because it would kind of take the fun out of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I love just coming out here. There's a little aquarium pump that runs nonstop, except right now because I turned it off for the podcast, and it just keeps my coolant running. And if I'm not out here for a week, then I'm not out here for a week, and that's okay.
So how much does your machine run then? Like, how often are you turning it on and actually cutting chips?
Yeah, like recently, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. It's like, okay. Yeah. And the thing is, it's like fully paid for. So yeah. My background, I said I was like DIY CNC machining. I mean, it was like from scratch building. I mean, we all kind of did that back in the day. Right. And then here we are. And I'm looking at my NAS BF No that hasn't been turned on in 2 years. And I talked about that with Kurt and Jamie because we were all DIY enthusiasts. But yeah, it's not super frequent, but when it is, it's like I'm focused and I know exactly what I want to work on, and it's super fun.
Nice. Well, good deal. That's a pretty good overview of everything that's been going on with you.
Yeah.
I do like I was looking right before we started the podcast at a lot of the knives that you made, and they are really nice. I do really like them.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been carrying this one, which this isn't really a video podcast, but for you guys, the listener, this is an inlay, but it's also magneted on, where if you press a certain spot, it lifts up and then pops open, and then there's a blade inside of there.
Oh, that's cool.
That's so
And
cool.
I like to carry around my prototypes and make sure I don't cut myself, so people aren't going to cut themselves. And it's been functioning really well, even dropping it and stuff. So I'm excited to maybe make a couple of those and get them out in the wild. So
do you have like interchangeable inlays where people could, swap the color later?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So nice. I just ordered a bunch of G10 that's it's already the correct thickness. So I just need to basically 2D profile and add some bores and drop some magnets in it. But yeah, that's the plan, and maybe some stabilized wood. I think you could have some real fun with it. So,
do you know what you need?
What?
You need a Mongo. Then he can run knives while you're gone.
A Mongo. I watched that video, which it's super cool seeing a Mongo. It's a UR, right?
Yes. Yeah, he's a UR5.
Yeah, on your Tormach. That's super fun. I know you've been talking about that for a long time, so it was fun to watch that video.
Yeah, if you go back to, I think, the first episode of this podcast, I think I talk about how a robot is kind of one of the goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that video is already super out of date in terms of Mongo progress. So Mongo's just kind of been flying. Mongo's making parts right now.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Now, when you're making your knives, are you doing everything in just a vise one at a time?
I was, and then realized that that's not a whole lot of fun. And I think it's fun to a point, and then you're like, I think I could palletize this or something. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the fun part that all of us machinists like to do, right? We like to iterate. Like I just showed you a knife that has an inlay that holds the blade in place. Like I was starting to get kind of tired of making knives, and I'm like, oh, what could I do? I'm like, oh, wow, this blade actually fits inside here if I change this geometry a tiny bit. And then making fixtures, like usually your first two fixtures, at least in my case, have never been perfect. And so it's like, just get it done, machine it. It's not going to be right. I keep having to tell myself that. And I just find that really fun. And it keeps I think it's creative or the creativity side of things, but also like the utility side of it too. And I love just keep iterating on things.
Are you using anchor points right now as your pallets?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Oh, you know what I should do? I should take this off. And if I open this up, oh man, there's like a blur on it. That's super. Yeah, that's a bummer. But I can explain it. So there's a block of Delrin because the spindle nose to table is like 6 inches on the sile, which is like a blessing and a curse. In many cases, it's a curse because when you want to use like Saunders mod vices and stuff like that, you just can't do it. And so I made I think it's like 1.25 inches thick, some Delrin or mystery nylon. I mean, it was a bear to work with. And then that's like a riser. And then it holds 2 anchor points side by side with a little over 6 inches on center to center of like where the studs would go. And that way I can get like 6-inch like pallets in and out, which I think is probably about the size that you would want to go on it. And it's been awesome. And yeah, it's such a joy. Like be like, oh, I'm just going to make a knife and plop it in. And yeah, shout out Jamie. He even made one that's got my logo on it. I mean, I'm super spoiled. So I'm happy to talk about him. And it's a great little tool. I just need to get my vise set up on it.
I really wish I had an anchor point earlier and didn't get so deep into the Aroa stuff, because making the pallets is so much cheaper and easier. With the Aroas, the pallets are complicated, and in terms of hardware, are you okay, Harrison?
Wrong pipe.
Okay. In terms of hardware, even if you get the cheap Chinese stuff, you're still at like $25 or $30 per pallet. And with
Wow.
the anchor point, it's, I don't know, if you buy cheap import pull studs, you're at like $10 or something.
It's less than that. Yeah, you could
Less
get
than
like
that,
you could get a pack of 5 for like, I think it's like $25 or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to make a pallet, and I had to all my pallets that I had created before, and of course I'm happy to shout out Flux Work Holding. Ken, he's making some really sick keyboards or aluminum keyboards. I'm not really in that environment, so I can't really speak to it, but they're really cool. I had a Flux, and it's like a mini orange vise. I'm gonna kind of butcher this explanation, but there's 2 dovetails that move in and out, and you can set it up in a single stage or like a dual vice situation. And I shared this with Ken, but my cheap way to create pallets was to add, I think they were 4 M6 screws, and so like 2 and 2 here, and that gives you perfect like
Flathead screws.
Flathead. Yep. And that would give you that dovetail, and then it just pulls it down in, and then it's got the 2 half-inch locating pins. And that's how I made like all of my pallets, and they're super repeatable. And I did that for a really long time, but even that just felt like slow to pop a pallet on and off. And so the anchor point has really kind of sped things up and sped up my creativity, I think.
Do you have 2 of the pneumatic ones or any of his newer mechanical ones?
I've got 2 pneumatic ones, and I know that they're like not rated for holding as much as a mechanical, but I've done some kind of sketchy stuff on them that Jamie told me. He's like, yeah, I would never do that. But because I'm using small tooling, there's hardly any forces on it. Like my biggest tool is a 1/4-inch end mill.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, but
you sound like me.
Yeah. I'm going the AJ route.
What type of runtime does it take to do a half a knife or a full knife?
So I've set up my pallets in a way where there are, I think, 4 or 5 machine components on each knife, and each pallet will yield me 2 complete individual like components. So nice. Every time I'm either like flipping it over from op 1 to op 2, I'm getting 2, say like fully machined blade holders, right? So I've got 2 of those. It's hard to say like the actual machining time for an entire knife because it seems to be different every time because I'm just changing stuff, and I'm not sure most people really want a bunch of changes. They're like, dude, just get me a knife. And I'm like, yeah, but what if we did this? I think for 2 blade holders to yield 2 blade holders every cycle is like somewhere around maybe 20 or 25 minutes, which is really not too bad. But I want to build a bigger pallet that will be able to almost do every single component, and maybe even 2 of every single component, including the scales, where it's a longer cycle time. I'm not a slave to the machine. I can go mow the lawn, play with the kids or whatever, and still get the same throughput.
How much table space does that machine have, and how much of it are you actually using on your pallets?
I think it's like 15 in X, maybe 11. It's all in metric, maybe 11 or so in Y, and like something like maybe 14 in Z. Now that I have the dual anchor points and I plan to do like bigger pallets stretched across 2 anchor points, I'm probably going to use the entirety of the travel. That's at least my plan. And Jamie actually had a brilliant idea. When I built that little riser for the 2 anchor points, I made like a bar that had the locating holes for the dowel pins as well as the tapped holes for the 2 studs. And then I actuated both anchor points and like in a free state, and then bolted it down onto my pallet. So I know that my spacing is like dead nuts every single time. There's some machined pockets so I could reference the anchor points, like butt them up against a kind of a datum, so I know that they're exactly parallel to the machine. And so I did take some care on doing that. And I mean, that was the fun part, right? It's just like think outside the box. And so shout out to Jamie again. He's going to get a big head. He's got a big head already, but like he's going to get a big head from this podcast. Yeah.
Oh,
Are you coming to IMTS this year?
I am. I'm going to be stuck in the Arda booth. So maybe we can put in the link, the number, because I have no idea where we're supposed to be and all that for the Arda booth. But I do plan.
Jacob could find it.
Jacob.
Yeah.
We like summon him. Like,
yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I'll be at the Arda booth quite a bit. So definitely swing by. But I plan on trying to like make it to the Instant Machinist meetups. And I mean, help me understand. You're doing one, and then there's probably the standard Instant Machinist. What are the dates and times?
So Monday at the G28IO booth is the Lone Machinist meetup. Tuesday is at 2 p.m. is us at the Tormach booth. Wednesday at 2 p.m. is the With Intolerance meetup at the Kern booth.
Sweet.
Yep.
So
yeah, I'm
Monday
so
through
excited.
Wednesday all covered. 2 p.m. Universal meetup time.
Cool. I got my tickets Sunday to Sunday because there's some setup there. Arda is a really small company, just like Toolpath, any startup, and so it's kind of all hands on deck for setting up and tearing down. So it's going to be a long week, but I am so excited.
Are you going to be doing the little like don't let stock out screw you magnet thingies?
Of course, yeah. If you guys come by the booth, find me. I will get you a don't let. It says it's a screw you magnet, so it says there's a screw on it, and then it says you. And man, that's been so fun. We just went to Automate a month or so ago in Chicago, McCormick Center, and I would just go up to people and be like, "Hey," I'd either say like "screw you," or I'd be like, "Hey, you want a screw you magnet?" And everybody that's got their head down and they don't want to talk to anybody, it always stops them. It's like a secret
like,
weapon.
What?
Yeah. And it's
funny.
a great little icebreaker for sure. Yep.
Catches their attention.
Is your shop all Kanban now?
Yeah, like almost. When you say all my Switch components are Kanban. Here, I'll show you real quick. So, but it's funny. All of my components live basically in this small little section on my desk to build an entire knife. And you guys probably can't see, but here, let's see.
Are those consumables or the ones that you make? Or excuse me, not consumables, but
no, those are blade holders in there, lock bars. I haven't done the machine components, but these are all purchase components. So like these standoffs here. Yeah, this is probably going to make for terrible audio, but there's a small like 1.5 inch by 6 inch bin, like Acro Mills bin. And in between it, I put a little divider. And oh man, Arda's going to be so proud of me for saying this. So we are running a 2-bin Kanban system. And so you've got all your inventory up front here. And then once that's depleted, what I have is in the back behind this little spacer. That's enough to make 10 knives, which is like basically like a year's worth for me. It's like a month. And so I've set my minimums where when I run out of stuff, then I've got enough material left in the meantime to make 10 knives while things are in transit and coming to me. And it sounds so simple, but there's been so many times when I was building a knife super late at night and I probably used up all my magnets or my screws. And then I told myself in my head, I was just like, oh, I need to order those. And then a month later, I come back out here, or maybe 2 weeks later, and short-term memory loss, I go to like make something, I can't make anything just because I'm missing like 1 or 2 components. And so, by scanning those QR codes, it shoots it over to my order queue, tells me I need to order them and gets them on order. It's super fun. Yeah.
So What does Arda do that like my little vibe coded Kanban card generator doesn't? Because mine just creates PDFs. What extra capabilities does Arda have?
Oh, okay. So like, can you give me like a 30-second overview? Because I actually don't know what your Kanban
That's
system.
fine. I don't think anyone's seen this publicly. So my Kanban generator, you give it a QR code, or excuse me, a URL to something you would buy online, or you can do it all manually. It uses AI to attempt to grab all the information it can off of that website, and then it sticks it on a 3x5 card that I then print off of my label printer and then laminate.
Nice.
So there's no like database. There's other than being able to reprint them or edit them. There is a QR code to the URL, but that's it.
Okay, gotcha. So Arda is very similar. We are a Kanban type company where we're taking the physical to the digital, right? And it's for any manufacturer that's dealing with items where they're stocking out of things. Maybe people are taking things without saying anything, which I was actually I was the culprit back in my engineering days. I'm like, oh, I need this for R&D, right? Like, yeah, I'll just take a few things and then it screws up the whole line. So Arda, it's a database where you can have all of your items in place, print off the cards extremely easily. All of your information lives inside of Arda, and a QR code is on the card. But when that's scanned either with your iPhone or we do like welcome packages that have like a printer, scanner, or Bluetooth scanners, all sorts of stuff to kind of get you started. It sends it to the order queue, and then it aggregates by vendor. So that's for an online order. If you're doing anything with POs, it automatically creates a PO, sends it from your email, has like a running list of like all the manufacturers and suppliers that you work with on a daily basis. So it's like auto updating all of the POs for you. We have email workflow and stuff where normally you would just like, if you're ordering from somebody and maybe you're not doing an official PO, if it's an item that you're ordering via email, we just create the template automatically and send it from Arda. So we're trying to like make everything as simple as possible for any shop that yes, you can vibe code similar things, but we have a full like customer success team. We're trying to hit the small to medium businesses, maybe medium businesses that like don't see a reason to vibe code because then they have to continue to maintenance it and they don't have support. And then, well, I mean, a lot of people like to look at vibe coding and say, okay, well, I could do this, but what is the cost that you're spending on tokens and actually getting this and maintaining it? There's more to it, of course. I mean, if somebody was really interested in it, I would be more than happy to walk them through a demo and see if it's a good fit. But really just making sure you never stock out of anything. And if you guys want to try it out, we've got free trial I can set you up with. And what's been really fun is we take McMaster-Carr orders, Uline purchases, all this stuff, and or a CSV file that has all of your stuff in it. And we can dump that into Arda and create like, I've been doing this actually for non-customers, people in trials. I'm like, well, let me just take on the work for you. That's what I did with Toolpath. I'll just like, I'll build out your tool library and you don't have to think about it. It just creates all those items in Arda. And we're also printing out cards for people as well. I think up to like 10 or 15 while you're on the free trial. So then you get these beautiful cards that don't need laminated. They're indestructible. We've done no lam that you actually can't rip at all. There's no way it's paper, but it's crazy. I think we're going to take a couple to IMTS, and if you can rip one, which I know you can't, you get like free AirPods or something like that. Yeah. So
interesting.
There's that, and then we also have like credit card style printers that we ship out to people and stuff. So like just creating these really nice like full flagship kind of product from getting your items in to actually using everything. And then we can also track frequency. For some of our Fortune 500 and 100 companies, we're doing analytics as to like, there's like you've been ordering this in this cadence, and we can kind of predict things. And so as you scan the card, shoots it to your order queue. You get on order, it aggregates by vendor, so you can see like, oh, I need 10 items from McMaster. Get those from McMaster, and then once you say like completed order, it moves off of the order queue, goes into a state where it's in receiving state. When you receive it, you scan it. You've got the card. The card has a location. It says the minimum, and all the information that you would need for that item, and it tells you exactly where to take that item right back to the shelf. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Not a lot of people really realize what Kanban is. And when you do successfully get it implemented, I forget what the percentage is, but it's like, I think 20% increase in throughput. And then there's a certain time savings that's like pretty significant too. Because a lot of information just lives up in our head as like kind of travel knowledge. Oh, and one last thing, we found that a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, a whole nother ERP system. It's like, we're trying to be the anti-ERP, where it's like, no. That's 3-letter words are bad. You want a 4-letter word, which I'm not sure if that should be our messaging, but I'm going to run that by the team. I love that. But yeah, like you can implement it in a day, because at time of reorder, you're already purchasing the component. Just add the URL. We have a Chrome extension that scrapes the entire page and builds the card automatically. So there's like a bunch of these really cool workflows where, it just does it.
I bet yours works a lot better than mine, because mine,
works really well.
Trying to use ChatGPT to grab the stuff from the URL is, I would say it succeeds it all maybe 50% of the time, and then it's useful maybe 25% of the time that it does succeed.
Yeah, AJ, I'll get you set up with it. It's very cool. It's free if anybody wants to play with it, but it not only scrapes the page, but let's say maybe like it didn't get the SKU right, maybe it was in the wrong spot. You can teach it, and then for the next time, maybe you order something on McMaster, it knows that location on the product page, and it will remember all these things, and it pulls in the image, which seems so simple, but having an image on your card just makes a world of a difference. In fact, a lot of people we talk to, they're like, yeah, we literally just need an image on our Kanban cards, and they go with us. So yeah.
How small of a card can you get down to? Because like for our toolbox, we have a lot of bins that are, about the size, if not smaller than the bins that you just showed us.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, so that's something I've been talking with the team, being new. So I've only been there for about 2 months, and they really wanted me to kind of, eat the dog food, which is a term I think we all know what eating your own dog food is, where it's just like using the product, and then, but being new, having that kind of new outlook of like, okay, well, why couldn't I do this? And so one thing that I saw was our smaller cards. We have labels, we have cards, and then we have breadcrumbs. And the cards are usually the 3x5 or the 2x3, or we have a bunch of different templates that you can choose from. We can even do double-sided, which is pretty nice because you actually have to remove the card, flip it over, and scan it. So there's that requirement to actually get on order. You have to pull the card, and you can't just like scan it while it's in there. And the way that I kind of set mine up was I used labels. And so the labels usually just get stuck on the shelf, or maybe even the bin that's in there. And it's a QR code and then the name of the item. And that's about it, which is really, you could argue, all you need, because if you're scanning on your phone, all the information pops up. And so that's what I would suggest is, like, if you have a Lisa cabinet and you want to keep track of your end mills and stuff, just set up all of the labels, and then all the data, it lives inside of the QR code. And that's the other nice thing where if you change vendors, if you change minimum order quantity, all this stuff, it just lives inside of the QR code. So it's adaptable, it's changeable.
I'm gonna have to play with that, because what we do right now is we just send an email to Weston that says, "Hey, order this when you get time." And so having an order queue that we can scan, would be ideal.
I bet we could technically make Arda set up so that if you scan it, it sends an email to Weston anyway. So we need to be like that was a joke. Don't do that. But
yeah,
you could.
So we do have that. Like I mentioned, we work with Fortune 500s and 100s, and they're like, "Hey, we spent $1 million and change on our ERP, and we're not gonna deviate." And we're like, "That's fine if it has an API." All of Arda, and I'm gonna say this like I understand it. I'm a mechanical engineer, not a software guy, but Arda has been built in a way that's API first. So any action that you're taking in the front end, it's all API capable. So what we've done is with bigger companies, and when they want to create a PO, we just push it to their ERP. And so Arda is talking back and forth, but their ERP is like missing stuff that's like not really in their ERP system, but it still needs to be ordered. That's where Arda is like a no-brainer and working super well.
Yeah, the only thing that we track in our pro shop is material, and it's for material certs. Mm-hmm. So we don't track tooling, we don't track shop supplies, we don't track cleaning supplies, or there's a lot of small things that are around the shop, tumbling supplies, like that we could track with a system like that pro shop doesn't do. That would be nice.
Yeah. I don't want to make this whole podcast about Arda, but if you guys are interested, I'll get you set up with a free demo, and you can play on it as long as you need to.
Yeah.
And we'll see if it competes with AJ's vibe coded nonsense. I'm just kidding.
Having the ability to accumulate like things like an order queue, if we have enough inventory where stuff isn't critical, where once we hit the minimum, if we can order it over the next couple days and then get a larger part list, would be ideal. Because I can't tell you how many times Weston will go to order like one tool and he's like, "Is there any tools anywhere else?" And so we'll go through the drawers and we'll look. We're like, "Are we low or like kind of low on anything?"
And that's a big thing that mine does not do. Is Arda's had, I don't know, what, 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, something like that to like figure all of these things out. And I got mine barely functional and was like, "Oh, this is good enough."
Yeah, because like if we had enough inventory on hand where we could go, okay, once a week, Weston, that's the only time you need to place an order for tooling. Like if we have enough inventory where we don't do it on a daily basis or like a when it comes up, it's just, hey, once a week at the end of the week or at the beginning of the week, look at the order queue. If there's something urgent, we can obviously say, "Hey, go ahead and order everything that's on the queue and throw this in there because we need this because, something went off the rails." But if we can get away from that and just saying, "Hey, once a week, place orders for everything," and then during the week, it just accumulates, that would be, I think, much less stressful for him, much less stressful for us, especially if we can just scan something with our phone and then it's just tracked and we don't have to tell anyone. It's just, "Hey, I'm setting up this tool. It's the last one. Let me just scan this and go about my day."
Yeah, well, absolutely.
And you wouldn't necessarily even need Weston to be the sole purchasing person at that point. Like if your systems are in place, then just anybody can buy stuff when there's enough stuff, like enough in the queue.
Yeah. He wouldn't have to be, but he is effectively the purchasing agent of the company. So we route everything through him, and he kind of keeps track of what's coming in, when's it coming in. So he kind of knows that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So like Harrison, we could get you and Weston. We don't do like per seat stuff. It's like you just buy it for your entire company, and then everybody has visibility as to what's on order, what's being received, where it's at kind of in each state. And then you guys could, be out on the floor, you scan something, you need 1/4-inch end mills or something, that goes to the order queue. He needs an 1/8-inch end mill or something. And when you guys go to order, it aggregates those orders together. You buy them at the same time, maybe at the end of the week or end of the day. Yeah, I mean, Uriel, like if you guys know austere manufacturing, he was kind of the first customer, and I mean he's our co-founder, and so is Kyle and stuff, and it's a cool story. You guys should probably have him on sometime, but he still has. Oh wow,
it was a long time
Jacob.
ago.
Jacob.
We need to get him back on, especially now that his podcast has kind of fizzled a little bit.
Yeah, and it's because he's just so involved with Arda, and he also has a super sweet daughter. So I think she's like,
I have 3.
A year. Okay, all right. Teach their own. But
his business is a little bit more successful than mine.
Yeah, and he's got like spindle grippers, and so I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago now. I flew out to Seattle, which is where Arda's headquarters are. And we actually have an office. There's a couple people that work remote. I'm in Ohio, so I'm on the East Coast. And we all hung out. We had this big on-site. We got to know each other. We used the product and we like implemented it at the new facility, the new office, because we have like a physical. When we go and do implementations for larger companies, because we'll actually go and like set this all up for you. We have like these physical things that are like 3D printed and send bent items that are like hold a card perfectly for sheet metal. And like, there's like lots of really cool things for being able to display cards well, not just in a bin. And we needed to kind of inventory all that. So we had the entire team go through, and we all had a board, took our card, and we knew exactly what we needed to get into Arda. We were all on the same account, so we could see the items populating as people were doing it. And it was a super fun way to like use it, feel like a first-time user and what our customers feel like, and then also iterate on making it better. So there were so many takeaways where we're like, we need a better mobile app. We need to be doing this. It was just super helpful for aligning us all on like what we're doing for the next, the next year essentially, or the next quarter for sure. So
you might be already working on something like this, but do you have the ability to look at the purchase history and suggest minimums and maximums based off of purchase history for those that don't have like if I'm just buying tools on and I'm not really keeping track of how frequently I'm buying which particular tool. Can Arda, if I'm using their system and I'm scanning, I can go, hey, look, I'm buying this end mill 3 times a month or 4 times a month. I could just place a larger order and order it once a month or once every 2 months or 3 months. I can decide how long I want term wise.
That's so unlean, Harrison.
You could. Okay, so this is the trap that you fall into. Where Kanban, go ahead.
But you need to know what you're like. You need to know, maybe that tool takes 3 weeks to get in, and so maybe it's a custom tool, or maybe Micro 100. They might have it in stock. They might not. It's an uncommon one because we've run into that. We're actually in the middle of that right now, where we have 5 in inventory. We go through about 1 every 3 days, so that gives us 15 days of production. And they are out of stock.
Wow. And do you have a secondary supplier? Like on the card, you probably haven't like investigated a secondary supplier, but if you run out of something, we have a primary and a secondary as a backup.
We do not have a secondary supplier for this one because it's not a custom, but it's a solid carbide tool, micro tool to get on the lathe. And I'm sure other companies make it, but I'd have to find an alternative. And we already have the whole Micro 100 quick change system. So that might involve switching to a different system, which we don't want to do. I don't know if I could find a secondary supplier that could interface with their system. Yeah. Unless I just started, the only way I could get a secondary supplier is like see if like MSC or if there's anyone else that supplies them that has them in their inventory, but not Micro 100s. But I don't know yet if it's
a weird tool, that's unlikely.
Yeah.
They would only keep the most common ones.
Yeah. So like for stuff like that, it'd be nice to know, how frequently we go through, like just having that order history. It just allows you to make informed decisions. Because like you don't want to have too much on hand. Like I don't want to have a year's worth on hand, but maybe I want to have a week's or a month's or whatever time period I want on hand based on how long it takes the tools or whatever the item is to show up.
Well, here's the question. How should you size your bin minimums or maximums or whatever you care about there? How should you size your reorder level?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on this. I'm 2 months into learning the lean way, right? And so I was talking with Uriel, and he's been heads down in this for I think about three years. I'd have to look at the history, and he was talking about how if you build a card, like really the most important thing is just like get a card, get an item on there. You can fill the rest out later, right? Just if you have a physical card, that is your like reorder point, right? Mm-hmm. So you can like actually see it, and then you can add the information later. If your minimums are not working out, then of course you would increase that. But there's also this cool thing, and I might not explain this super well, so Uriel, don't get too mad at me if you listen to this, but there is a multi-loop bin system where instead of increasing your minimum, you have multi-cards, which Arda is the only, I think one of our claim to fame too is having multi-loops working. So in one item, you could have 3 to 4 cards. And so say you've got your inventory, then you've got a card, then you've got your minimum, and then behind that is another card, right? So as you're pulling cards, you have this
cascading.
Cascading. Like if there's a bin getting refilled by somebody like a water spider, which I just learned that term. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But like if there's somebody refilling, oh, 1 second. Can you guys hear the air compressor kick on?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. There we go. That's actually happened. Sometimes I work in this shop because I've got a mini split and stuff. That's happened on way too many calls where I am stuck and I'm like, just like trying to talk as loud as possible and hoping they're not hearing it. But yeah, so you have somebody like refilling the bin and then your production is still going. And then there's a card going through the motions or the different states. And then as you get to the next mem, so you have these multi cards that are in different states. And then that way you're not ordering like, this was really interesting. It's a cascading effect. So say, you guys are machinists and you're like, I need to order 20 end mills or something for this job, which seems incredibly high. And then you realize, oh my goodness, I did that entire job. I actually needed like 30. So I'm going to order 50 because I get this discount. Well, if you order 50, the company that is supplying that is like, oh shoot, we got this spike. We should get like, a bunch of these start on the grinder and we should do, and then it creates this crazy cascading effect that I never even thought about where it actually hurts the entire kind of industry and the chain, which I'm sure this is like, everybody knows this in supply chain, but it was super enlightening to me where if you're not lean enough and you don't have your minimum set up in the correct way and you're not like doing multi-card and stuff, you're actually hurting yourself. And I feel like I'm talking a lot on this podcast. Hopefully you guys are cool with that. But
it's kind of what podcasts are.
Okay, cool. Everybody just listen to this in 1.25 or 1.5, right? The other really cool thing that Uriel was talking to me about, because he's eating our own dog food, of using Arda in the shop every single day, is he has cards for machined components, which this was like, I love this because I never remember what NC file I'm using for my most current like lock bar or blade holder or something like that. And so his card kind of moves throughout the shop and even goes to the machine and says like, okay, this is how many you need to machine, and kind of has all that information on it, which is cool. But he was saying how if the minimum was like, say, 50 items for a left-handed scale or something, then we would have to wait for like 50 of those to get machined. And then they get to assembly and they're still waiting on 50 right hands to get machined. So he said, and this sounds so backward, but it's true. If you have a lower minimum and you can get like, say you do like 10 left and then you switch fixtures, which sounds really inefficient, but then you're getting 10 rights made, then you're handing off to assembly. They're able to like go and make 10 knives or whatever you're making. And then you kind of switch cards in and out. So it sounds really backward. I still need, nobody take this as like set in stone. But I'm learning so much and it's so interesting. And hopefully it made a little bit of sense. But
it makes a lot of sense, especially in the context of CNC mills. The only argument I would have is that setups on lathes take a while, depending on what you're going between. Like mills, you could have fixtures and tools set up and just swap them out in, 30 minutes or less. But on the lathe setups that I'm doing, it might be half a day. And if you're getting that thing set up over half a day, maybe even a day, depending on how many things you have to pull off and rearrange and move around, it's a lot to get set up and get dialed in, especially on some of this tight tolerance medical parts we're doing. You have to go back and forth with the CMM, and like it takes a little bit to get everything just right, and then to only make 50 parts and then break that setup down would suck.
Well, if you look at lean, like basically one of the principles is smaller batch sizes with more changeovers, and in order to do that, you get into all the other lean stuff, which is the Kaizen kind of things, and 5Sing, which is all about making those changeovers faster. And if you want to get into deep lean terms, you get into SMED, which was a book by Shigeo Shingo, and it's all about changeovers. So no, you cannot be a super lean shop unless you figure out how to get those changeover times down, which is why companies like Toyota and whoever else spend so much time on figuring out how to reduce that changeover time.
Yeah, which I will say, thinking about it a little bit deeper, which this is the whole point of having these podcasts, is to think deeper about these subjects. There are things you can buy for lathes to make those changeovers quicker. They are expensive and a big investment, though. So
there's also things you can do that technically slow down production, that speed up they slow down your per piece cycle time, but they might speed up your like overall batch size, or if you're doing 10 batches with 10 different changeovers, like I don't know, reusing a slower tool, or drilling and then boring instead of just reaming or whatever. By reducing the number of tools, you can have more standardized tools in your machine so that you get faster changeovers, so that you reduce that setup time, and yada, yada, yada. So there are things you can do. Spending money is the easiest one. I'll give you that.
Yeah. It's also the hardest one if you're short on cash.
Yeah. So I actually have been teaching a bunch of this stuff recently. I mean, we just did our Laws of Quality podcast last time, I think. And there's a fun exercise I do. I actually have two different variants of this. I have the simple variant and the complex variant. But the simple variant is I find two people in the group. I make sure they know how to fold a paper airplane. And then I go out into the hallway and I put a stack of paper, way back in the hallway. And then somewhere in the middle of the hallway, I put a table. And then somewhere in front of that table, I put some sort of line, some sort of marker. And I say, okay, the first person, you are going to do batch work. So you're going to walk back to the pile of paper. You're going to take as many papers as you think you can do in 5 minutes. And then you're going to walk back and you are going to fold paper airplanes, but you have to do one step at a time. So you're going to fold them all in half, and then you're going to fold in, the first little corner of the wings, and you're going to do that on all of your papers. And you have to, complete each step before you move on to the next step. And the other person, I'd say, okay, you are just allowed to make one paper airplane at a time. And so you are going to fold a paper, you're going to walk back, walk back 50 feet or 100 feet to the paper depot, grab a piece of paper, walk back, sit down at the table, fold your paper, fly your plane, walk back. And it's like, okay, you're going to be walking a lot. And the other person only has to walk once. Who's going to fly more paper airplanes at the end of it? And everyone's like, oh, it's the person who's doing the batch work. I have run this probably 10 times now, and the batch work people have never flown a single paper airplane before the end of the timer. Like every single time they take too many papers and then they're stuck, processing too much inventory, and they don't get to, fly a single plane. My more complex variant of this, I really need to do a video on, but I think I need more friends to be able to do this video. I vibe coded up basically Overcooked, if you're familiar with that game, where it's the same setup, except now I have 5 different colors of paper, and I plug my computer into a projector, and it pops up different orders on screen. So every 2 minutes or every 30 seconds, you get a new order and you have 2 minutes to complete it. And it'll be like yellow airplane, blue airplane. And so then they'll have to make a yellow airplane and a blue airplane and then fly it. And I give them my little app keeps track of how much money they have. And so every piece of paper costs a certain amount of money. When they ship a batch of airplanes, that gives them a certain amount of money back. The airplane has to fly past that mark I mentioned earlier. And that's their quality control test. So they have to manage their inventory. They have to manage their money. They have to pass quality assurance. And they have to ship things to order. And it's funny watching because basically I'll just sit back and I'll let them run the game, 5 or 10 times and see how far they can get. And kind of inevitably they end up at a Kanban system.
That's so cool. We did something very similar at Automate, and I think we grabbed a video of this. I don't know if it was posted, but at Automate, to show how Kanban works, we had like 5 bins in the very front, in the middle, and on a podium. And we had a 2-bin system where we had all the inventory and then the minimums. And we were making the screw U magnets. And there's a screw, there's a white thing, it has to be bent. There's this cool little tool that Uriel designed, I think, and it shoots the 2 magnets in, and then you have to screw the screw in to kind of hold it all in place, right? So there's 4 or 5 steps to do. And I think it was Andrew and I went head to head in one-piece flow versus batch. And it was so fun because it felt like I was going way faster. I think I was doing he was doing single piece and I was doing batch. And I think I felt like I was going faster, but at the very end, single piece won out. And it was cool just to see how it all played out. We had the exact same amount of items, but I had to batch everything out, and he did single piece. So, and the other cool thing being together as a team was the last night, I think it was, we did kebabs, where we went to Uriel's house and grilled out kebabs and all this. And Miguel, our CTO, came up with this brilliant idea. It was awesome. We had a bunch of stations, and Alicia, one of our customer success guys, who's also really into the culinary arts and stuff, he was not allowed to talk to us. And we had a grocery store guy that had all the items and stuff. And so I think my station was cutting onions, and then somebody was doing mushrooms and then the meat and all this stuff. And so the very first part was we were going to see in 15 minutes how many full kebabs we could make doing what's called push. And it was, Alicia was not allowed to talk to anybody. And there was really no communication. And we were supposed to be given as much as they thought we could produce. And then basically what happened was our kebab guys that were skewing everything, they just ended up with a ton of stuff. And then we all just had a bunch of stuff that we were still cutting, and we were just shoving them. There was they were getting overwhelmed by how many like food items were required to skew. And so I think we only got like 7 or something full kebabs made in that time. And then we did pull, where all we changed was essentially the batch size. And we did little like containers. And once a container was filled up, then it would go to the guys creating the skews. And we had a little water spider, I think it was Alicia, and he would go. And so we had this visual representation as to, I should not be cutting any more onions unless I have an empty bin. And when that bin is filled, then it goes to the guys who need it. And then they were working from a pull workflow where they would always take the full cup. And then once that was depleted, the empty cup would go back to me, and then they would have a full one behind it, which is essentially Kanban. And it was just super cool to see how it all worked out. I think we did 3 times as many kebabs, and we all ate our kebabs and just had a great story to tell. But it was just cool to see how it all worked out and stuff. So, yeah.
If you ever get a chance, you should go tour a Chick-fil-A kitchen. Because that is where I learned Kanban. Before I knew what it was, the way their system works is, okay, you have the people up front who are, for all intents and purposes in the Kanban system, they're the customer, right? They're the ones who are pulling out the orders and shipping them. But then behind the counter, like they're very sensitive to how long that food is been cooked, but not yet eaten, both for food waste and, quality kind of reasons. And so that inventory had a really short shelf life. And so they managed that with Kanbans. And there were 2 Kanban loops. There was a loop that went from the fryer to a warming station, a buffer station, and then to where it was being used, a picking station. And then there was a loop that was between the breader and the fryers. And that was in part to avoid cross-contamination, because you can't have, your raw chicken bins and your cooked chicken bins mix, obviously. And so when the person who was picking the order had their bin empty out, they would put it up on a rack, and that rack was, right in the line of sight of the person who was breading the chicken. And then that was the cue to the breader to kind of start production. And that rack had it was like a long slidey rack with rails. So as the bins were coming in, they would stay in order, and he would just work, first in, first out, and, cook the chicken, put it in the fryer. And then when it was done, someone else would come take it out, put it in that bin. And they had a pretty cool system where, based on historical sales and projections, it would estimate the number of bins that should be in the system. So sometimes it might just be, 2 bins. Sometimes it might be 3 bins. And then the number of pieces of chicken in each bin. And this is cool because it happens all in a very fast period of time. Like even when they're kind of slower, they're still, churning out chicken on a pretty regular basis. And it was like a very fast experiment of Kanban. Like you can see the results right away. Like what happens if they decide, let's say the breader's starting to feel behind and he starts to make bigger batches of chicken, which is something that you would see a lot. It would cause them to get more and more behind, because the bigger batches then take longer to make. And then you're hitting those batch delays of the other batches are waiting on the bigger batch, and it snowballs. And the more behind you get, because the batches just keep getting bigger. And I was running a kitchen at Chick-fil-A. I was the kitchen manager. And one of the things it took me a while to do was to learn to trust the system and do smaller batches. Because the smaller batches got people their food faster, even though it was technically less efficient. But
that's fascinating.
Go tour a Chick-fil-A sometime. It's been 10 years since I've worked there, but 10 years ago, it was pretty normal for them to give tours to people who requested it.
I
That's
have
cool.
one of my really good friends from church is an owner operator of our local Chick-fil-A. I always give him a hard time because I was like, hey, we went to your competitors, which was like 15 minutes away or something. But I'm sure he could get me in. And yeah, that would be super cool to see.
Just go watch them during a lunch rush.
Yeah. That could be that could be work related for sure.
Yes, it is.
Sorry guys, I got to go to Chick-fil-A.
Like seriously.
I love it. Yeah. Well, one thing
chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Tax deductible.
There we go. Get peach milkshake. That's R&D, man. No, one thing that's really fun is we want to focus. Seattle has like a really big area for like fasteners and things like that. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, if you're doing anything with fasteners and you run out, usually you're screwing something up. Production is getting screwed somehow. And so, kind of our initiative for the next quarter is also kind of hitting our local places, and obviously Cleveland is full of manufacturing and stuff, so it'll be fun to just kind of get out of the office, which is my house, and drive around and do some more guerrilla style visiting shops and connecting with them and stuff. So it should be fun.
Okay, I have a Kanban question. This is a problem that I hit in my implementation that I didn't know how to solve. So there are some things that are really easy to Kanban. Screws. You either you rubber band a Kanban to one box and then pull out of another box, or you put 10 screws in a bag and with the card, and that's your Kanban limit. Like, that's really easy. The things I was running into problems with are things that I don't use that much of, but like whey oil. I do not use very much whey oil for my machine. It goes through a gallon jug in, I don't know, 6 months, at least, maybe a year. I don't know. I don't even know if I've bought whey oil for this machine yet, other than what it came with. So it seems silly for me to have 2 jugs on hand, which is actually what I did. But how would you Kanban half a jug? Or
have you seen Dawn dish soap?
I know what dish soap is.
Yeah, I just noticed this. I think one of our people, Maddie, that works at Arda, sent us a picture on Slack, and there is a line that's like not exactly half, but it says reorder here or refill here or whatever their term is. You could do something as simple as that and put some blue tape on it or something. What I would say, and I'm not an expert. I actually don't know if this is correct, so nobody take my advice here. But what I would do is, being a hobbyist, I don't want to have a bunch of oil on hand that will take me 10 years to get through. I think what I would do is I would just create a card that's essentially just going to point me to where to order it. And maybe this is completely sacrilegious and goes against Kanban. But for me, I would just get a card made so that when I need to reorder it, I've got all the information and I know where to get it. And I think if I saw it was depleted, at least the way that I kind of work, I don't think I would run completely out. But yeah, maybe having some on hand or a fill line or something like that.
I mean, if you have to do it once every 6 months, is it going to take longer for you to get longer than 6 months to get a replacement in? Because if that's the case, you only need 1 can, and then when it runs out, it's just that's your cue to order more. Yeah. And if it comes in before you run out, before your next maintenance interval of 6 months, then you're fine.
Yeah, that's fair. But there were some things I don't know. I have a big 5-gallon container, probably not 5 gallon, probably gallon or 2-gallon container of acetone. And it's I don't really need 2 of these, but I guess buying smaller containers is also one option, which I can't do with whey oil. I could do with acetone.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the right thing and the obvious thing to do would be to have one on hand so that you don't get to that oh crap moment. And it's 4 weeks out or something, right? Because that's the whole thing that we're trying to prevent doing Kanban. So yeah, I don't know how to answer that, but I think you would have to probably have at least one on hand, or order in a smaller size, smaller quantity or something.
Yeah. For the whey oil, I just went, whatever. I'll order a second one. It was $60 delivered, and my machine does not run without whey oil in it. Like, it won't. It will refuse, and it's like, this is pretty cheap insurance just in case something happens if it leaks or whatever.
Would you ever buy separate smaller containers to pour? Like, if you wanted to have multiple containers on the shelf, and you just said, "Hey, I'm buying a 5-gallon tote. I'm going to buy 5 1-gallon containers, and I'm going to separate this out into 5." Like, I mean, the easiest thing is obviously to draw a line, but I'm just trying to pose a scenario and say, would you ever order something that you normally get in bulk and separate it out to have separate intervals of it, kind of like what you're talking about, where it's kind of flowing or cascading?
Well, that is something I do a lot with non-liquids. So I cannot think of a single example off the top of my head, but like if I had, if I ordered 100 screws at a time, I would just put 10 in a bag. And that's honestly what most of my Kanbans are right now, is either the card is a rubber band to something, or it's in a bag with something. And when you open the bag, that's when you reorder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Arda kind of goes a step further, and we've got a bunch of it's already been implemented in so many shops. And so we've got all these little 3D printed things that you can make very quickly to hold, cleaning products, or, just all sorts of unique geometries to be able to hold a card well. And I'm pretty sure it's all open source. Like, I don't think we're going to charge for it or anything like that. If you have a 3D printer, go for it. But we also send them out for implementations and stuff like that.
Well, this has been fun. It's given me a lot to think about, and how to, we try to run a pretty tight ship, but there's always room for improvement.
I think you guys would benefit a lot from at least this for inventory. Yeah. You don't, if you go full lean, whatever. But the other day, you guys were talking about starting to manage your inventory with, not Job Boss. What do you use?
Pro Shop.
And that just sounded like a huge nightmare to me. And
well, we do it for our material, but only our material, because of how much of a pain it is.
Yeah. Well, and that I get. And so at some point here in the near future, Subtract is, I don't want to call it a product. We're launching a free open source piece of software that is just for tracking material certs for that very reason, because it's a problem with our shops.
Yeah.
And so that's, because we have that software development core competency, we can do that so that everyone's not vibe coding their own, AJ special to solve the problem.
And ProShop is coming out with a system where they can print out labels with QR codes that are tracked to the certs.
Yeah.
And that you can stick on the bars.
So that's what ours would do.
My biggest complaint about ProShop specifically is you have to pick a unit of measurement for how you're tracking your inventory, and then you can only use that unit. So if I'm doing inches, which is how we track ours, and I have 250 inches, I don't know if that's 1 stick, 2 sticks, 3 sticks, 5 sticks, I don't know how many sticks of material that is, and their individual lengths. Because, depending on the size of the part, I might have 200 inches or say 100 inches of material in the shop, and my part is, let's just say, 20 inches long. So in theory, I can get 5 parts. But say my sticks are in such a way that I can only get 3 parts because I have, 2 or 3 smaller sticks that are too short to make the part, which that's happened to us before. There's not a good way in ProShop to separate out those sticks. You just pick a unit of measurement and it goes, you have so many inches of it in stock. And it's how many sticks of that? What is their individual lengths? And that's what I wish we could do better with ProShop.
Yeah.
Is track individual sticks and their lengths.
don't know. My first instinct says that's more information than is necessary, so why track it?
You track it because depending on the size of your part, you might have to order more material, even though your inventory shows that you have plenty on hand.
Well, you just go walk out to your shelf and take a look.
You can, but like think about it from like as your company grows and you get larger, do you want your purchasing agent always walking out to go check and see, does what the information on my computer make sense? Because if you can't look at your computer and go, okay, I have the information I need to make a decision on if we need to order material, then like if you don't trust that to make that decision, then it's not a good system.
So in my experience, and so like, I've been in Caterpillar's plant. I've talked to their quality people. I've been in Allison Transmissions. I've been in GM. Like I teach their people quality assurance. I teach them lean. I talk to these people on a regular basis for extended periods of time, like deep conversations about this stuff. And at these big, huge companies, none of them ever trust their ERP in the information that it has. So I think it's more important just to have it be simple enough that it's going to be right, and have your shop organized enough that the information's immediately presentable.
Yeah, I've talked to many companies in the past 2 months with Arda, and everybody's running off spreadsheets and whiteboards, and I mean everybody, even with ERPs, Fortune 500 companies that I'm probably not allowed to disclose, but there's some big boys out there that like their R&D department and stuff. They're just like, oh, I just text my manager when we're out of something, or he goes and looks, and it's crazy. Like these big companies are still kind of stuck in the same trap. And that's really what Arda is trying to do, is like bring the physical to the digital. It works super well when I don't care if I have 20 screws, but if I put my hand in here, I'm going to get a screw every single time. That's like the best way I can explain it, because there's people that have these jobs, and I'm learning so much. I didn't know this, that literally just go and count inventory all day long. They're called counters, I think, which is awesome. But I feel like you could probably utilize somebody in a better way than just counting items. And if you really need to do that, okay, maybe BOM management and stuff, which we're also working towards. So, but if you just need to know, hey, when I put my hand in here and I break a 1/4 inch end mill or something, which I'm sure never happens, guys, but I'm going to be able to pull another 1/4 inch end mill out of here. And if I have to pull a card in order to get to that 1/4 inch end mill, that is my physical indication. I can put it in the Dropbox. I don't even have to sign in and say, this is my name, my date of birth, how many cats I own, or, like that's really all that friction is what's slowing people down from actually using a tool. And so if you can just move a card, scan it at the end of the day, or have somebody scan it like your manager or something and get on order, it goes to the procurement guy, it emails them. I mean, like that's the stuff that we're missing. And that's why I'm really excited about Arda, because it hits everybody. It's not just manufacturing. Like I was talking with Toolpath, all these machine shops, and I still have this soft place in my heart for machine shops. I love you guys. We're like always drowning, always like, we're like, oh my gosh, I got to get this out the door. Or at least that's what it seemed like when I was talking to people, and they didn't even have like 15 minutes to take a look at something. And, they were deeply affected by this issue of being extremely busy and not efficient enough, but not able to prioritize that because they're making parts, right? And so then I get to talk to these other companies that are still in manufacturing, but they're not machinists, they're not owner operators, or maybe they are, but it's a different atmosphere. And it's really fun to kind of like get to know all these people and stuff. So yeah, so we'll see where it goes, and I'm excited. But yeah, AJ, you got to get off that vibe coded thing. I'll get you set up, and Harrison, you as well, man. We'll get you set up.
Okay, I have a pitch for you. I have a way that you guys can make at least dozens more dollars at Arda.
Dozens.
So, are you and it's totally ethical and not dubious at all. Are you familiar with Honey, the like YouTube advertiser company?
This is sounding slimier and slimier by the minute.
Yeah, sounds sticky.
I think
sounds sticky.
This could be a legitimate method if you implemented it ethically. But are you familiar with Honey and the whole Honey scandal?
No, enlighten me.
Okay, so Honey was a browser plugin that would like help you find deals. So you'd go to Amazon and be like, "Hey, we have a coupon code for you," or whatever.
Oh, I remember those ads. Yeah,
they were everywhere.
Yeah,
they advertised with like all the YouTubers.
Okay,
and it turns out how Honey made money is when you went and bought something from somewhere like Amazon, they would put in their own affiliate code. And so then it wouldn't cost the user anything, but Honey would get, 2, 3, 5%, whatever of the order. And, they had affiliate codes for Amazon and eBay and basically everywhere. You guys handle a lot of Amazon orders. You could just put in your own affiliate codes and make, 2, 3. I'm an Amazon affiliate for the YouTube channel, and I make a whopping maybe $5 a month. But if I had, hundreds of purchases a month going through me, you can make a lot of money.
Interesting.
Yeah, the problem. So I got to add a little bit more context to the Honey scandal for those that don't.
That part is legitimate. It's where Honey gets slimy is the.
Yeah. So what Honey would do is, if say a YouTuber recommended something, it would have the YouTuber's URL for the referral, and then when they go to purchase the item, you click Honey to check for coupons, and even if Honey didn't find anything, it would still overwrite. It would always overwrite that affiliate code, no matter what. And so basically, they were basically the last click before you purchased, and were guaranteed to get that affiliate link.
Well, and the thing that makes it even more slimy is Honey is advertising with YouTubers, basically exclusively. Yeah. So they're paying the YouTubers a little bit of money and then stealing all of their
revenue,
stealing all of their affiliate revenue, which for some YouTubers is their primary source of income.
Wow.
So that's where they get slimy. They were also letting companies pay to hide their coupon codes. So like, if you were eBay or whatever, and you didn't want everybody to use the 20% off coupon, then they would pay Honey to hide their coupon. So like Honey was a terrible company, but you could do this ethically if you retained the existing affiliate links.
If they existed.
Yeah, if they already had an affiliate link, then retain those. And if they don't, then hey, free money.
Yeah,
that's my pitch to you guys.
Well, I'm not part of that team. I'm part of making sure that we have revenue, so everybody has jobs.
This is where you get revenue.
Yeah, that's true. I will run it by Kyle and Ariel, but we do have. Yeah, we've. I think there's been some discussions with Amazon, and we're on the map. It's pretty exciting to see what Arda's doing. So. Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of it, and I think we're just getting started, to be quite honest. Especially now that Kyle and Uriel can focus on stuff and not have to follow up with people. And of course they're going to follow up, but I can take a lot of their workload off of them.
Yeah, we should talk sometime about Arda for my shop, because my implementation really is half baked. Like I got it good enough, and then I stopped messing with it anymore because Mongo was more exciting.
Here's what I'll do for you, AJ. Just like what I've done for every person I call up on a trial, I offer this, is send me a spreadsheet. I'll get your account set up for you, put all of your items in there. They probably won't have pictures, but you can do that later. And we'll print off the cards for you. Just start using it. Cool. That's like the barrier to entry is pretty low if you don't have to do any of the work. Like, just get the cards in.
Yeah, that is how that works.
Well, that's what I'm like. a lot of the friction is like, oh my goodness, I got to put all this information in and I got to figure out, I mean, you would have to define like what your minimums are, but you could do that kind of even after the fact.
Do you know what's interesting is for me, that was not the friction. For me, it was like, what do I buy? Like, you know, which, or like end mills are a good example of this. I am bad about standardizing on end mills, and that's probably cost me a lot of problems down the line, not just in purchasing, but also like, you know, this time I'm running the Haas version of this end mill versus the Lakeshore Carbide versus the Harvey. Like, you know, speeds and feeds are going to be different. And, you know, maybe there's a slight difference in flute length. And I bet that's cost me parts and broken tools and all kinds of things because I wasn't standardized there. And do you want to know my last big hurdle is my tool library is still not Kanbanned because I haven't taken the time to get it all standardized.
Yeah. I mean, it is hard to Kanban a tool library if you're just ordering stuff just super randomly. Like that was the one thing with Toolpath. One of my responsibilities was to not just focus on machining parts, but it was like build out this shop in a way that like is super efficient. You're focusing on the process, not necessarily just the production of the parts. And most machine shops don't get to do that. So like I had a really cool job where it's like, ooh, I'm going to like 3D print these dividers that fit and like are parametric across, you know. And so we were able to implement Kanban very quickly because this is exactly where we ordered this end mill from, this one, and we never deviated. Unless I found like maybe there was a better end mill, like we probably moved more to like Frasia and some higher end because we had like Rego Fix and we really wanted to get the best of the best so that we could really test like feeds and speeds correctly and stuff like that. And there wasn't like
more variables.
There wasn't more variables where it's like, oh, I don't know, do we have a really crappy holder? Is this setup actually working? And because we're defining certain things for other people to run. So like there's a pretty big responsibility there.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking as well, does Arda offer any ability to like automatically compose emails based off that purchase list? If you have
that's exactly what we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like if you have multiple vendors, can you send out stuff for quote? Like say my material, if I was doing material, you know, I might have 5 different suppliers for aluminum or stainless. Can it send out one to each individual one and then compare and just keep track of pricing over
That's
time?
A good question.
I'm not entirely sure. I know that we have vendors and manufacturers set up where it keeps track of like what contact you're working with, their address, phone number, email. And so when you go to either email them or create a PO, it just autofills all that stuff. And we do have an RFQ. I need to like play around with it, but there's an RFQ source, right? So we have like an online source, takes you directly to the URL. So we're vendor agnostic, meaning like if you have, I'm trying to think, maybe it like Harvey, and you have special pricing on Harvey tools or something. We just take you directly to that website. There's no ambiguity as to like what end mill it is because it takes you exactly to that correct URL. You put in your information to purchase it, you get the discount or whatever, and then you just check it off in Arda and it kind of completes that loop. There is an RFQ source or workflow. I'm probably saying that wrong. Then there's like the PO workflow, email, and then also production. So like I was talking with a bigger company and they have like a couple warehouses. And so there's these wire harnesses and we pull them actually from warehouse 34. And so they know that when they run out at the production line, then we need to go get these from warehouse 34 on shelf, whatever. And all that information is tied into Arda. And so there's a bunch of different like ways to use it. It's not just online purchasing is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I know. But like, for example, you know, we do production on, you know, one of our parts and we order 1,000 to 3,000 pieces of this aluminum bar that's pre-cut. and we have 4 different suppliers that we use. And when it comes time to order more, we want to send an RFQ, a standardized RFQ to all 4 of them. Is there like a one quick send them all an RFQ, and then as those emails come in, we can put that information in and their pricing, and then we can make a decision based off lead time and pricing on which one we want to go with.
Yeah, I used to do that when I worked at the sheet metal shop. I had it was like a Word document with I don't remember how it worked, but they have like, or what they called it, but they have some sort of way of sending emails directly from Word to a list of people. So I just had my vendor list in there, and in that Word document, I could hit send, and it would like change the name of the person in the company and send it off to 4 or 5 different people and get RFQs from everybody.
Yeah.
Cool.
Although Harrison, so what we figured out when I was working there, what I figured out was that doing it that way was well and good, but we got better rates with better lead times if we pre-negotiated a larger amount of material up front on a release schedule. So, we'll say, hey, we want to buy 10,000 sheets of steel over the next year, at whatever terms, we want them in releases that are this big, whenever we'll use about 1 release a month, yada, yada, yada.
The problem that we have is that we're not to that point yet, because we're ordering material on a PO basis. So when our customer gives a PO, we're ordering all the material to fulfill that PO. And I'll use the Magwells as an example. We did 13,000 of them the first year, and that's what we were told we were going to do every year going forward. And then this year we've done like 4,000. So I wouldn't want to go make that deal and by buying all that material, and now I have enough material to do an additional 9,000 pieces
That's
just
true.
sitting there. So like I don't have a consistent enough schedule on some of these production jobs. I know maybe at the beginning of the year what their estimate is for that 1 year. But even then, I don't have POs for all that stuff. I just have an estimate, and they're fluctuating on their end. So I might get that. I might not get that.
So yeah, you'd have to basically work out the same thing from your vendor or your customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that would be a great idea, but my production kind of flows with their production. And so like when I get a PO, that's when I place my material purchase, because then I have something in stone.
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
fair. I don't think I disagree with the way you do it.
Yeah. But to that same point, I still, every time those orders come in, that's when I want to send out multiple PO requests to multiple places, because prices from them all vary and lead times from them all vary. And so just tracking that and, having a standardized email that we can hit them all at the same time. And then what's that?
No, that's super great feedback. I'm not sure if it's currently in the product, but we probably are moving that way, because we do have a section for suppliers and manufacturers, and then the RFQ workflow. So I'll run it by the team. I mean, the thing is with small companies, and that's the thing I love, is at a startup, you're always listening to your customer, because you don't want to build something that's like nobody wants, right? And so the feedback is taken with a lot of value, and sometimes goes on the roadmap very quickly, depending if we've heard that from a lot of different potential customers or customers.
Yeah, and this might not be a Kanban question. It could just be a general question, because if I'm doing it on a PO basis, I'm not necessarily stocking it, and when I run low, reordering it. So like that example might be a poor example. Maybe a better example might be our Kinbanned Go drills. Those are something that could be a stocked item, and we have 2 local suppliers along with MSC, and so we're comparing 3 different prices whenever we're buying that stuff.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and 2 of those are emails, and one of them's online.
Mm-hmm.
So like tracking pricing from all 3 sources, and where we've bought them from in the past or something. Like, it'd be nice to be able to have that information just to be able to look at.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really cool idea. Make sure that you're always getting the lowest or maybe the best the best possible price or lead time or something, right? Like you could compare it against a couple different things.
Yeah. So, if you get into a bind, what's your fastest source? If your system is working well, what's your most efficient source or your best value?
Yeah. What we currently have in the product, which I touched on earlier, was a primary supplier and a secondary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how that actually plays into when you like do an email order or something. If that's emailing both parties involved, both suppliers. I don't know. There's so much that I'm still learning, and I'm happy to say I don't know because I don't want to mislead people, but that's kind of the fun part too, where definitely not an expert machinist. Definitely not. I'm not an expert at anything, but I love learning and understanding the industry better.
Well, presumably, worst case scenario, you guys have a notes field, right?
Yeah, we've got two.
So just stick it in the notes field, and
yeah. Actually, so we have a card note section, which I'm not sure how many characters, but you can do a lot. Because I was on a call and the guy's like, "How many characters?" And I just went blah 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 blah, blah like gibberish, and then it like printed on his card. There's card notes where if you want to have like love notes to inventory people or whatever, you can put it on the card. And then you also have like internal notes where when you scan the card, if it pulls up on your phone or on your desktop, then you can see like that special note that might be helpful at that time. So maybe additional information about different vendors that you've purchased from in the past or something. And that it just gets all that information out of Harrison's head. It gets into Weston's head and your intern. I don't know what you're at, but I know you're growing a lot, Harrison. You both have grown.
We got 3 people, and we'd still like to add a 4th. We just haven't yet. So,
man, very different from Tormach days.
Me, Weston, and other Ben. So yeah. I've actually.
Oh, I forgot he was Ben too.
This is actually a joke in our shop. So we have employee Ben. We have Ben from Black Fox, formerly from Toolpath, and we have a Ben at one of our customers, and then Ben at another one of our customers, and then there was another Ben. There's like 5 Bens that we were dealing with on a semi-regular basis for a while. And this was around the time that we got the robot, and we joked that we were going to name the robot Ben. That way we could have. That way we were going to name the robot Ben, and then we were going to name the employee Ben number 2.
I love it.
Just to mess with him.
I had that problem with Jacobs.
Yeah.
I used to be able to call him Subtract Jacob and Intern Jacob, but now Intern Jacob is also Subtract Jacob, which doesn't help.
So,
man.
But yeah. No, these are cool questions, and there's multiple answers, I think, to some of these, depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
one feature that I personally like seeing graphs of stuff. I'm a numbers guy, and like one of my favorite things that we started doing with ProShop is being able to like document all of our measurements over time, and so like I can click on. We're starting to kind of get that information into the system. And so like on some of these production jobs, I can click on a button and I can see a graph of a dimension over a run.
An X-bar chart.
Yeah. And so being able to do that with pricing would be awesome. Because then you can see, is it trending up? Is it trending down? And maybe even throw an error if it like jumps greater than X%.
We have that in the product. It's not visible, but we set our customers up with analytics and things like that. So if you really needed that, also the way that we've kind of gotten around that without putting in the product is if you really need it, you have a dedicated customer success manager, and so it's like just ping them.
Ben's
shoot him an
volunteering.
email.
Yeah.
I am not. No. I don't even know how to get that information. But yeah, we can get that in your hands like super fast. So
Yeah. It's just cool to kind of material pricing is a big one. Like I remember that back whenever in my sheet metal days, they were tracking that like on a monthly basis of like how the prices are changing and how much it affects because they were going through a ton of material.
Yeah, and that's where like a 2 or 3% difference between two different vendors can make a big difference. Like,
Yeah.
2 or 3% on 4 half-inch end mills. Yeah, fine, whatever. 2 or 3% on 100,000 pounds of steel. Yeah, it's kind of important.
And like for like we're not to the point where we're going through so much stuff that like a big price swing is going to be super impactful on that level. But we had, I mean, the whole industry had that whole carbide pricing change, and like all the tooling went up, and so like being able to just know how much that actually affects you personally would be kind of interesting to like be able to figure out, like on a higher level. So, because you might have to adjust your pricing on what you're selling stuff for. You probably should. I know we try to go through all of our pricing stuff and stuff like that once every 3 months. So
I haven't bought carbide recently because everything seems to last in aluminum pretty well. But is it still pretty outrageous?
Once things kind of go up, it's pretty hard for them to go back down.
Oh man! Wow.
So, I mean, I would have to go look and see. I know we got double hit because we'd been buying machines at a fast enough rate that we were constantly getting like 50% off coupons, and we've run out of those, and we ran out of those around the same time that the pricing went up. So like a lot of our stuff doubled by like 200% or more on tooling, like overnight.
Man.
So,
and you use a lot more tooling than I do.
Yeah. So that hurt.
That's actually, now that I think about it, this kind of makes sense because I haven't noticed that big of a difference. But I think the price on the tools that I get was always more about the grinding than the carbide. Because if you think about something like a long reach 10 thou end mill, the carbide price in that is nothing, but the amount of time to not break that thing while you're making it and handling it is probably a much bigger percentage.
Yeah, the coolant flow alone on grinding it, could break a 10 thou end mill.
Yeah. So like for Harvey, their pricing hasn't really changed very much, but the larger your tool is, the bigger it's affected.
Yeah.
Well, you just got to get in micro machining, Harrison. Come on.
Yeah, it's the way.
Just kidding.
I'm like medium micro. I'm like palm sized.
You don't have any 50 taper, do you?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to go that big. If it requires external help to lift the material, whether that be forklift or a crane or another person to get it into the actual machine, not the bars like off a trailer, but like the actual part into the CNC machine, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how we've kind of determined our limit is if I can't physically pick it up and set it in the machine, it's too big.
How many bends does it take to lift the material into the machine?
Yeah.
It's got to be a factor.
So, but I never want to get to like massively large parts, but I don't mind like, a 3 foot long part out of aluminum. Like that's about as large as I go. And I think that's bigger than the travel on both your guys' machines.
Oh yeah, it's probably longer than my machine is wide. Almost. Yeah.
The Mongo production system was originally designed around a 2-inch cube. I've realized that I can make it. I can go 4 inches in length with no like follow-on repercussions.
Yeah. My ideal part size is something that's like 6 to 8 inches in length, about 4 inches or less in width, and under an inch and a half height. That's about my perfect size. So
Well, have we hit the end of our podcast here?
we just about have, but
I've enjoyed it.
someone
Been a
has
while.
to talk about the people that support us.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I think one of which is Ben. We've kind of...
And then we can do the outro. AJ forgot that we have help in the form of people that support us.
So Patreons, we have them. They include, but are not limited to, Zachary at Home and Precision Industries, CJ at CS Machine and Fabrication, Brian at Headco, Matt at Modern Fuel, Russell M, Joseph E, Brian B, Jacob S, Chris at CDS Plastics, John at Schubert Design and Manufacturing, Alex H, Avery M, Chris B at Putty Creek Precision, Josh at Leighton Machine, Millen Y, Devin C, Christian O, Stephen M, Daniel R, James at Moultrie Made, Ryan at Strand Manufacturing, Kyle at Kursk Machine, Devin at Sinister Machine Works, Greg at Frogtown Manufacturing, James N, Ben at Prickly Pear Prototypes, Cam S, there's another Ben, Shep at Alderson Prototyping, Jacob at Zona Precision, Jason at JLS Machine, Joshua H, Christian Z, Leland at Bray Precision. He changed his name and it's still going to get me. Freaky Climber, Prescott at 1Z2Z Systems, Trey V, Alexander B. Scott, Design the Everything, Jamie at Nautical Work Holding, EJ at Nocturnal Welding, Chris at Zyke Precision, Chris at Thought Bomb Design, and as ever, Jake Brownson. Now, I am working off of show notes that are a week late because Jacob went on vacation. So if you are a new Patreon, I apologize, and we will get you next week.
I'm gonna start timing him on those because I think that was the fastest one he's done. That was like a speed read.
Meetup 2 p.m. Tormach booth IMTS Tuesday.
Yep.
Join early access Discord.
YouTube.
Buzzword. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is that it? Are we good?
Yeah.
Am I getting music or am I not getting music?
There's no music button anymore. Zencaster took it away from me.
Oh, we didn't have music on the intro this time, did we either?
No.
I didn't even notice it because we had a guest. So
we can buy withintolerance.org. Withintolerance.fun.
Withintolerance.fun. What does fun they usually stand for something?
They've started doing ones.
Oh,
Within
okay.
Tolerancing.
How much is a domain these days? I still have Wix site, Black Fox Wix site. I've never even done a domain.
It depends. I just bought ajsclass.com for my class. And that was, I think, $10 or $15 a year. But I also have I have one for Mongo, and that was a weird off-brand one, and that was very, very cheap. That was $3 or something. Yeah, ajsclass.com still works. So, I don't know. I think I own 15 domains at this point.
Jeez.
It's one for every company he started.
Yeah. And also 2 for Jamie.
2 for Jamie. All right. Well, I guess I'll just do my outro without music again. But anyways, thanks guys for coming and hanging out with us this week. Ben, thanks for coming and joining us on this week's episode.
Absolutely.
It's always nice to have a guest on. We need to do it more often, and I'm glad you're able to do it last minute because we've been talking about getting someone else on. So appreciate you coming in and bailing us out.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. I appreciate the time. It's been fun.
Bye.
We'll seize the day. Taps and patience, our daily grind. In this machine shop, we'll always find joyous struggles, all intertwined. Taps and patience, one of a kind.
You saved us from doing the same episode for the 3rd week in a row.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. We need some variety on this show. People
we need to get
know
somebody
enough
for
about
next
us.
week. Maybe we can grab Dylan again.
Is there any Patreons that want to come on? Do we need to send out
I'm sure. Yeah, we can find somebody.
Yeah, we should bring on a Patreon or someone who wants to come on from there.
I'm sure. I mean, we talked a ton about Arda. I didn't really want it to be a commercial, but Uriel, I mean, even Austere Manufacturing, getting him on again. He's just such a fun dude to talk to. And Kyle. Honestly, the whole team is awesome.
Hey, it was not an advertisement for Arda. It was us learning.
Yeah. Like I wanted to learn more about Kanban and Arda. And
Yeah.
like the incremental podcast, like seriously has changed how I run my shop.
Cool.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the more influential pieces of media. And like when I did the shop tour with Andrew Henry, like seeing his shop tour, that was a big moment.
He's so dialed. Yeah.
We need to get him and Uriel on at the same time. I feel like that would be fun.
Oh, that would be so nerdy. It would be great.
I would just sit back and learn things. It would be awesome.
Yeah. Love it. Did we wrap?
I think so. I think
still
that was
recording.
Well, we're waiting for AJ to do his awkward bye.
I think this was it.
So now, Ben, me and you, we just need to be silent, and AJ needs to stare awkwardly in the camera for 10 more seconds, and then do his bye.
What's the point? Jacob cuts it out. He didn't get the joke, and he's been editing it out for so long that it's just not a thing anymore.
Oh, I guess that's true.